So, the ultimate reason behind our every action, no matter what the action is, we may not even be aware of it, but when you analyze one after the other what you're doing, it'll come down to this one aim, this purpose: I want to be happy. You will be amazed to know, because we are too busy with rushing around in life to analyze that the reason behind laughing is happiness. Oh yes, why were you laughing? Oh yeah, that was a wonderful time I had, or whatever it may be. So laughing to you obviously means a state of happiness. But did you know that crying is also a state of happiness? When you look at a person crying, you think it's about misery and the person is miserable. So how can crying bring about happiness or peace? It doesn't click to you, does it? But yes, if you analyze the amount of peace or happiness you get from laughing, you could possibly get it from crying. You've never thought of it. If you suppose you see somebody crying bitterly, what's the matter? Why are you crying? Well, my young child just had an accident and the doctor says there's no hope. So she's crying bitterly. And you say, definitely, that is something I can understand. How miserable you must be feeling, how hurt you are, how much pain there is. But tell me one thing. On the one hand, there is the pain of the child, almost at the point of death. Why are you increasing your pain by crying? Even when people die, the close family, you see them crying, don't you? Now ask them, why are you crying? You've just had such a big loss. Somebody's left the world, somebody died, you're crying. Well, if I were not to cry, then that grief, that pain within me, if it was locked up inside, that could lead to a mental imbalance, that could lead to an attack, whatever it is. By those tears, by that crying, you're releasing the pain that is all pent up within you. You agree? Yeah. Suppose somebody doesn't cry and it's been a major loss. She's lost her young husband, that lady has. And she's absolutely, you could say, like a stone. No emotions, no tears. And people do say, I wish she could just cry. I don't know what's going on within her. You would expect a person to break down. So you see, there you go. Crying also, the reason is it leads to peace. It gives a vent to the hurt, the pain within you. The biggest example. What happens when a child is born? The first action of a child, tell me? Cry. Why does the child cry? There is a big, you could say a teaching, a lesson, if you were to analyze the reason for the cry of that child. Without us knowing it, the child is expressing this desire for happiness by that cry. The pain that soft little tender child experience at the time of birth. So the first action is with all its might, it cries. That cry, we don't like to hear. You wouldn't want to hear your child crying. Say a 3-year-old cries or 2-year or 4 years. You don't like that. But when the mother hears the first cry of the child, it's a pleasure to the ears. Why? My child is alive. That's why. So this child is expressing its desire for happiness. I thought that I have come to this world for happiness. And what's happening? The first chapter of my life is pain. That's the first chapter. We started with pain. And this crying, we started with crying. Of course, we don't remember we cried, but you see it happening around. So, the first chapter of life is this cry. And 99% of the people in the world, some people may cry outwardly, some people cry internally, but our life goes through with this crying. Until the end, this crying does not stop. So the very first action is the cry. And as I said, whatever we do, no matter how totally opposite there are, you can analyze your own lives. Suppose you have plenty of guests at home. The people in the summer, they like to come to UK, especially from India. It's hot there, it's nice and cool over here, and that's it. Now about 5, 6 people, suppose you have a big house, you're enjoying your big house, but they also look to your big house, it's comfortable to stay. If you have no place for them, they won't come. So they are here from there, some are welcome, some are unwelcome, but you welcome all of them, right? And when they come, then it's like hectic schedule, obviously, and it's about a month's stay and you have your whole house upside down, and then you're waiting. First you are happy that we were just 2 of us. At least it's nice to have about 4 or 5 people in the house. It's really enjoyable. And after some time, I want to be alone. So the desire for company, why? Happiness. And suddenly you change. I just want to be alone somewhere on the top of the mountain. I don't want to see anybody. Solitude, happiness. Opposite actions. Weekend, right? Some people are sleeping it off. That's why I can see early morning programs are not very welcomed.